In 1970, a musical version of the movie Georgy Girl opened at the Winter Garden Theater. Georgy. The plot told the story of a frumpy, awkward young woman named Georgy, her beautiful, conceited roommate Meredith, and Meredith's roustabout boyfriend Joss, who Georgy is in love with. Eventually, Meredith becomes pregnant and then leaves the baby with Georgy and disappears.
We've got some very uplifting shows.
Awful. Georgy and Joss get together, but it doesn't last, and Georgy winds up marrying her father's older, wealthy boss to provide a secure life for the baby, who she has grown to mother. Hardly a conventional book story by 1970 standards. The show had promised to tell a different kind of tale about the modern young woman.
That's true. It's really, this show, I discovered it through the demo, which the score of the show is actually, it's wonderful. It's just like 1960s pop. It's fantastic. So you'll hear more about it now. Who better to write this story than a 22-year-old named Carol Bayer? She would add the Sager later, and later also write tunes like, who can name some Carol Bayer Sager tunes? Shout them out. That's a good one. Thanks, Lauren. She also wrote That's What Friends Are For, Don't Cry Out Loud, and so many others.
Love theme from Ice Castles.
That is a good one, too. Hi, Caleb. Very Sager. Carol actually had a pop hit while still a student at LaGuardia High School. How cool is that? And the book was by Tom Mankiewicz. Tom's father wrote All About Eve, and his uncle co-wrote Citizen Kane, so must have been some stressful Thanksgivings in that household to live up to that. A production head from United Artists saw one of Georgie's 4 performances and loved Tom's libretto, and he went to Hollywood to join his family and never looked back. He ended up writing many of the James Bond films.
Music was by George Fischoff, who wrote several 1960s pop hits. Peter Hunt directed, fresh off the success of 1776. In fact, producer Fred Coe brought in 1776 librettist Peter Stone to secretly doctor the book during the show's out-of-town run, or for Smash fans, the dramaturg. Howard Jeffrey, who's an associate of Jerome Robbins, choreographed.
There's some choreography. We also love this choreography because it's like, what were they doing? They're just like... That's the choreography. No.
I likened it to like in a middle school production where they have the 8 dancers in front and then they have everyone else who needs to be in it in back doing much simpler choreography.
That's kind of what that looks like. But they're actually, the show is filled with like the best dancers on Broadway, but they didn't get used that much. So it's funny, you can see them not really quite being used correctly there. The rare thing about Georgy was that the film had come out only 4 years earlier. This was just around the same time as La Strada, and as noted, movies weren't often made into Broadway musicals, and when they were, the main reason certainly wasn't to capitalize on the movie's brand. You had to distinguish the properties to discourage comparisons. Georgy and La Strada were 2 of the very first Broadway musicals to really stick close to the film. In Georgy's case, nearly every critic noted that they felt like they were watching the movie on stage, but slower. Because of the technology of 1970, scene changes seemed to slow down the plot where the movie had zipped along. Variety said, "It is a modestly appealing little Valentine sort of fable, but it seems long and slow in this version." Interestingly, the Wall Street Journal said that the performances were splendid, but that the show stayed too close to the movie, and why would anyone want to see the same thing twice? Julius Novick in The Village Voice said, "The entertainment industry sometimes reminds me of my mother. It doesn't like to throw away anything until it has been thoroughly used up."
So true. I think that is so
Making
true.
it personal, Julius Novick. Jeez.
So the movie being so recent...
Oh, sorry. This critic's quote, can you see that? It says, "When I left the theater, swung through the swing doors onto a cold Broadway, I found I was softly humming. It was the theme music to the movie. Sorry." The last line of the review is sorry. Oh, makes me sad.
Before the
Makes me
hashtag
sad.
sorry not sorry. Something the kids are saying these days.
The score is really fun. We'll have
Okay,
to take it.
so the movie being so recent meant that leading lady Dilys Watling was subject to constant comparison with the movie's Georgy, Lynn Redgrave. I would not want to be compared to a Redgrave. They're gonna win.
You better hope Redgrave doesn't go into Mormon. No, Redgrave. Not Lynn Redgrave. Oh my God, that was the worst. Continue.
Well, she gave a sweet performance in the show. These comparisons weren't often in her favor. She was, however, nominated for a Tony Award for Best Actress, and her fellow nominees were Lauren Bacall for Applause and Katharine Hepburn for Coco. Yeah, just bad year.
Or a great year. That's an amazing
great,
year.
but for her to win.
Yeah.
Playing
sorry.
her best friend, Meredith, Melissa Hart was nominated for a Featured Actress Tony.
Several critics noted that there were 4 loudspeakers hung over the audience, and that was outrageous. There were also visible microphones lining the stage. And remember, this was in the day when musicals were just starting to be mic'd. And Georgy's music was in a pop idiom that was new to Broadway. It wasn't the rock of hair, it was a softer pop that needed the mics to sound right, and that would return to Broadway soon through writers like Marvin Hamlish and Stephen Schwartz. At the time, critics dismissed Carol Bayer's lyrics as cliched, but of course she would go on to become one of the top pop songwriters of her time. In that photo, you can see the mics on the stage, and they're literally like, they're not stage mics, they're just...
Like this microphone just on the stage pointing up.
They were still working on it.
Okay, so while the Daily News said Georgy is a consistently engaging musical, taste and skill have triumphed. The Morning Telegraph headline declared, "Movie better than show." Detractors also complained the intimate story didn't lend itself genuinely to big production numbers. In fact, some of the best dancers in the biz were in Georgy, including Catherine Doby, Patricia Garland, Mary Jane Houdina, Michonne Peacock, and Tony Stevens, just to name a few. They were underutilized as most of the numbers just had the few main characters. Georgy closed after only 7 previews and 4 performances.
Michonne Peacock, actually, I spoke with her. She was going to be here tonight, but her flight was delayed in Florida. I blame Florida for everything. She had some wonderful things to say about Georgy, and she also lent me some of her photos. Here is Georgy at the Winter Garden, which is really cool because I think she's the only person with this photo. It hasn't ever been published, and I have never been able to find one. So 4 performances, but there's the photo. Here are some backstage shots. That's Michonne in the middle, and there are some of the dancers from Georgy. One of the interesting things, I'm not going to tell her stories because I hope maybe Michonne was in, Bring Back Birdie and Rachel Lily Rosenblum, so she might join us for a future edition, and she can share them then. She's also, in Chicago and lots of musicals. But she did tell me, I asked her a couple questions about people in the cast, and she would either be like, oh, that dancer, and tell me a story about them, or she'd be like, oh no, that person was a singer. And I was like, oh wow, 1970, it was still like segregated. So, there she is backstage, looking awesome. There's Michonne and Tony Stevens. Here's some backstage shots. So there we go. And now, here to sing an awesome number that I love from Georgy, welcome Monet, Julia, Sabel.
To me, wow, I've caught me something special. I'm not letting go. Every day I know rainbows shine from above. I'm something special to my love. Life was kind of a drag. There was nothing I had, and the sun didn't shine. Not riding so high, I feel like touching the sky. Ever since he's in mine, look out. Since I'm something special.